This is Business Incorporated. Thank you for joining us. I am Bosun Amofaye. Coming up, Swiss-based commodities giant Glencore extends a deal with Libya in North Africa to be the sole marketer of one-third of the country's current crude oil production. Meantime, the maker of Peugeot, France PSA Group, Citroën and DS Car signs a contract to start assembling 2 car models in Kenya. And in South Africa, the country is set to gazette its final mining charter by March 2017. Now let's get started, shall we? As usual, with the market here on the African continent, all the major markets are in the red as we speak. The Nigerian Stock Exchange started the day in the red, but now still keeping that about 0.52% negative. The largest market on the continent, the GSE, is now 0.14% negative, broader than we saw that about 12 o'clock Nigerian time. The GSE group seeing a weakening of about 0.5% on its financial 15 index, the resource 10 index, and the top 40 tradable down 0.03%, that bringing the overall GSE to about 0.14% or 74 basis points in the red as we speak. Now look at the Egyptian market, a negative 0.5% today, keeping it around the figure right now. And the Kenyan market by 0.5% in the green. In the Middle East, most stock markets in the Gulf moved little because of flat global equity markets and crude oil prices, but Dubai outperformed on the back of advances in mid to large-sized companies listed on the Dubai financial markets, that the DFM, as it's known, 3,648 reading at 12 o'clock Nigerian time, 1.19%, outshining Abu Dhabi, coming about second at 0.65%, in the green as well. But the Qatar and the Saudi market in the red by those numbers about an hour and a half ago. Investors in Europe are carefully weighing President Donald Trump's policies and focus on corporate earnings that will continue to date. So we're still looking at that. Meantime, today is also the day the ECB chief, Mario Draghi, will be taking questions from the legislators in Europe. Quite a lot to chew about there. We'll get to that in about a minute, but let's move on very quickly and show you what the Wall Street opening will look like today. Things are looking a little bit quiet, but a bit positive. On the stocks futures, we're looking at the Dow Industrial Futures, about 20,005. That's standing on the threshold of that psychological level that it reached about 2 weeks ago, about 0.1% to the north, almost the same margin the S&P 500 index, and the Nasdaq futures 5158, 0.06%, about 12 o'clock Nigerian time, still early morning hours in Europe. Let's get back to Europe, where investors are carefully weighing President Donald Trump's policies and focus on corporate earnings. That will be some of the big stories that we're getting through today. Meantime, Volkswagen is not yet out of trouble. The giant German automaker will still have legal actions in a number of countries that is paying millions and millions of dollars around the world for some of those deception in some of his brands. Look at how things finished off today in the Asian markets. Let's look at a trading day right now from Wall Street, or gentle tipping during the opening session. But let's take what the Monday's figures looks like. Asian markets mostly higher today. Investors trying to make sense of U.S. President Donald Trump's policy noise. Mainland Chinese market back from the holidays, New Year holiday, in positive territory. The Shanghai Composite about 0.5% better. The Shenzhen Composite gained almost 1%. The Hong Kong Hang Seng gained 0.71%. In Australia, the ASX 200 was down about 0.1% despite a climb in gold prices. The Japan's Nikkei 225 was about 0.31% better after official data showed that wages in Japan fell in December on an annualized inflation-adjusted basis. That's for the first time in a year. The Kospi in South Korea, that's the main index, up 0.22%. And let's come back to Nigeria, where investors at the debt markets were upbeat last week, with the average treasury bills yield contracting 47 basis points. That's quite significant for this market, 17.83%. Bond yields also narrowed slightly, 4 basis points to 16.86%. So let's cross over to Access Bank, where the team lead for fixed income trading is joining us. Chair Menem joins me on this conversation. Good afternoon, Rita. We thank you for coming through.
Good afternoon.
It's good to see you. It's good to hear you. Let me put it that way. Okay. Coming from the weekend and last week trading, give us a sense of where we're starting the brand new week.
Okay. For this week, what we've seen generally is a bit of increase in yields across the fixed income maturities, both on the bills and on the bonds. The reason being that Hello?
I'm with you.
Okay, so the reason being that there was OMO on Friday, which took out in the market. So CBN sold about 393 billion, given that market liquidity was about slightly 305 billion. So really, is a bit of a short of liquidity in the market. So market opened a bit of higher from closing on Friday.
Again, of course, we're still expecting a treasury bills auction from the central bank in the new week. You know that is going to happen, isn't it?
Okay, for this week, there is no maturity, there's no OMO maturity, there is no primary auction bills maturity this week. So.
Yes, so what does that do to liquidity and how investors and dealers like yourself look at the yields on treasury bills and Naira papers? Since there's no maturity in the system this week, we still see these yields a bit higher from last week. For instance, today we saw the short tenor bills has done